intro video, but I don't have one. So good morning, guys, and good evening to you, Santa Papa John. So that you're watching the Get Busy Living podcast with the wonderful, as I said, Santa Papa John. And we thank you so much for your time today, and we much appreciate. I know how cold it can get in the Arctic, and I appreciate you being up at this time in the evening and rugging up, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. Greetings. Good morning to you. Oh, wait. Good day, mate. There, I got to say it right.
That's it. Yeah. What's up, Cobber? You heard that one before?
Yep, I heard that one too. You got your lights on yet?
Yeah. I forgot to put it on, so I've got it on now. So, see, I'm coming out of the dark. So, thank you so much. As I said, can't wait to hear the gold nuggets about what Santa gets up to during the year. And firstly, tell us, Santa, what gets you out of bed every morning?
You know what gets me out of bed every morning? It's the ability and the wonderful creativeness of talking to people all around the world and creating smiles. I'm on a big mission right now, and it is to share smiles with someone you don't know, because you never know the backstory. I do a lot of work with veterans, and we can share smiles because we want things to go to the next level positively.
And yeah, we can have a smile-a-thon. It's contagious too. I noticed it's
Absolutely. I call it smileology.
Smile.
That's my new term. We're sharing the smileology of the world.
Smileology. I never thought of that one. So,
Yep.
So tell us, Papa John, Santa Papa John, I should say. Tell us about how you got into being Santa Papa John.
Well, it was the magic of the beard. When I met my wife, I sent her a picture that I didn't have a beard. And then I showed up and I had the beard, and she goes, "Oh, hello, Santa." And I went, no, I think you got the wrong guy. And she says, "Everybody loves Christmas." And I says, "Well, we'll just skip that part." And I said, she turned me into Santa Claus. And, to put it plain and simple, it has truly changed my life, changed my world. And it's such a blessing to know that I can share some happiness around the world to various people, to maybe change their morning, change their day, their week, their month, because we all don't know what's going on in other people's brain cells, and maybe they need some cheerfulness. And some people say I'm a little bit over cheerfulness, but is that such a terminology? Being too cheerful?
Yeah.
That's being silly.
Yeah, true. I do believe the more and more, the older I get, the more I realize that it's better to have fun than be serious and stressed all the time. And that's what our lifestyles have brought us to these days. And yeah, you're exactly right. I agree with you there. The more happy we are with ourselves, especially, the more it's enjoyable to be in the world, and then you appreciate the small things.
The small things. Everybody stresses out about the big picture, but it takes a lot of small parts of that moving picture to create the big picture. And if we can increase the small parts by 5%, 10%, whatever the number, each day, the end result is going to be truly amazing.
Yeah, that's so true. And so you your wife told you that she loved the beard and that she loved the Santa Claus look. So what transcribed after that? What transpired, I should say?
Well, one of the amazing stories that I tell everybody, which is a true story, is she hands me a handful of candy cane one day, and she says, "Next time you're walking through the store and you hear some kids squawking, go talk to them." Well, you typical male response to, "Hey, little girl, you want some candy?" I said, "I'm going to go to freaking jail." Of course, He kicked me in the shin, and we both giggled and laughed. And yes, we both share a lot of laughter and giggles and smiles in our relationship. It's truly a blessing. So I'm walking through one of the big box stores one day, and I hear some kids squawking, and I went, well, I guess if we're going to try it, now's the opportunity to try it. So I had a big black winter coat on, I had black pants on, and I had black tennis shoes on. There was no red and white on me. The only thing that was white was this thing right here. So I walked around the corner, and of course, there's three little kids in a grocery cart there, and they're giving mom a hard time. And it's I went, hey, are you supposed to be squawking back to Mumla that way? Isn't she here shopping for you guys? And I shut up. Well, the kids did a quick, proverbial turn and looked at mom and looked at me, and their eyeballs went about this big, and they went, Santa, what are you doing here? I said, I'm hearing some kids that want to be put on the naughty list. Well, you almost thought the world had died right in front of them because their nose went huge, their eyeballs went huge. They looked at mom and they went, but. And I went, nope, you're supposed to be behaving like good boys and girls, and you're not supposed to be squawking back with mom like you are. And I said, do we really have to pull out the naughty list book for you three? And we're sorry. I said, don't apologize to me. You got to apologize to mom. So they apologized to mom, and they said, we'll do better to act a little bit more better. And I had a little conversation with them, and the reality of it is, of course, I asked mom, because you got to ask mom and dad for permission now, even to give them candy cane. And of course, she said yes. And I said, well, you kids promised to be on a little bit better behavior. I'll give you some candy cane. Yes, we will. We will. We promise. We promise. So I handed them some candy cane, and I said, okay, Santa's got to go talk to some more children, and you behave. And, Santa loves you, and we'll talk to you again soon. And I turned around and walked around the corner. And of course, mom comes following after me, and she said, thank you, Santa. I think you just made shopping enjoyable for the rest of the season. And I have not looked back since that period. And it is, once again, I will say it has truly changed my life and my world. And then, of course, my wife's an amazing seamstress. She's makes these amazing shirts for me. So there's really no disguising who I am. When I'm walking through stores and stuff, because it's not only the kids that are doing, it's him, it's the adults as well. And it can be just as much having a wonderful conversation to adults as it is to children.
Well, funny you should say that. All week I've been telling people, I get to interview Santa Claus this week, and they're like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, you tune in this time and at 10 a.m. on Thursday the 19th, and yeah, I'm going to be interviewing Santa Claus." And they're, really? I said, "Yeah, you bring your Santa Claus questions. If you bring your Santa Claus questions, he'll try his best to answer them." So, so it's quite amazing. It's not only children. Yeah, you're right, exactly right. Even adults find it enjoyable and exciting just even to hear about conversation with Santa Claus. Very cool.
Absolutely. And there's no age to believing. I've
Yeah.
had 2-year-olds on my knee. In fact, my record is 10 days old on
Wow.
me. And let's go the other way, a 92-year-old great grandma, and when I had great
Yeah.
grandma on my knee, I got her giggling and smiling, and because you got to include those people in visits as well. And then I got the whole room going. I said, "Okay, Grandma, it's time to get serious now." And she says, "Okay, what's up, Santa?" Said, I said to her, I said, "Do you remember what I brought you for your seventh Christmas?" Well, you thought I dropped the bomb or something, because she swung around and didn't even hesitate. And she looked at me seriously and she said, "Santa, I don't remember what I had for supper yesterday, and you want me to remember what you brought me for my seventh Christmas?" Well, of course, the whole room erupted. and it was, I will never forget. That's one of my cherished memories of all time, because she was just a card and loved to get people going.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's an awesome story. 93 years old. Wow, that's a great innings. And um, so you got a bit of a following now on which platforms you got a following now?
Well, TikTok, I'm at about 94,000 on TikTok.
Wow, 94, and
I'm well over 100,000 followers on social media.
wow, wow, that's amazing. And so it's unique because you are really following the lines of what Santa Claus would believe in, and you said that said to me previously that you try and keep your show. Is it? Would you call it a show, or was it? What
Well,
would you
yeah,
call it?
when I go online, when I do a live session with the kids on TikTok, you got to keep the of course you're going to get the naysayers that come on and they put their 2 cents worth in, but I say there's no talking about drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, vaping, uh, politics, or war.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Well, what are we going to talk about? We're talking about having fun, and we're going to talk about Christmas, and we're going to talk about decorations, and we're going to talk about sharing happiness with our fellow people.
And that's so awesome. But I know the rhetoric is sometimes it's yeah, pathetic. But yeah,
Yes,
that's
and then you will of course get the and I don't just say kids all the time, because they're young adults, 20, 30, 40-year olds. They come and visit, and they got to throw their 2 cents worth in. And they get quickly told, you need to change your attitude really quick, or I'm going to send you packing and you're going to go talk to someone else. Well, what does that mean? And then they push the limit, and I go click, 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 and go, see ya, and I cut them
oh,
off,
that's why not?
because
I
I
mean,
want the rest of the people on there and the children on there to have a positive
yeah.
conversation, a positive outlook, see some giggles, see some laughter. And I don't need negativity. There's enough negativity in the world that these kids have to put up with. They're not going to do it on my show.
And exactly, I agree with you. You need to keep that integrity of the positivity. Integrity of the positivity. Good call, you said.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It could be a good
So
name for the show. But what was I going to say? So yeah, so I heard you've also got a cookie recipe book as
I
well.
do. It's Santa's favorite 50 cookie recipes from the North Pole. And it's stirring up a little bit of action, and people are downloading it, and you can buy it at my website, santapapajohn.com/shop, where I've got not only yes, thank you for putting it in the rolling banner there across the bottom. I truly appreciate that. Santapapajohn.com. I've got quite a few different, I'm up to 21 different items now in my shop. I've got some wall art with some critters from the backyard, and we have two black kitty cats that love to pose and get into mischief, of course. And of course, then we take the pictures of when they get into mischief. And of course, now I'm having fun making some wall art that can be downloaded at there. But I've got t-shirts. I'm a very forward thinking Santa Claus, and coloring books that are inspired by my stories. Now, YouTube is allowing me to, I've got well over 100 stories on my YouTube channel of different adventures. And my newest ones are Santa goes on vacation. And he's been to Sydney, and he's been to London, England, and Houston. And what are you hearing?
It's my computer. Sorry,
Oh,
I thought it was a big deluge of water, but it's not. It's the computer.
yeah.
So yeah,
That
keep going.
That happened to
Yeah.
us 2 days ago. We were under tornado warnings. It was kind of a little bit interesting, but yeah, I'm a very forward-thinking Santa that I want to spread happiness and the cookbook. Like I say, there's over 50 recipes in this cookbook, and then of course every now and then I'll be putting pictures online and people are going, "Oh, that looks so yummy." Well, you can download this, when you buy it at santapapajohn.com/shop. And then, of course, the t-shirts. And I've got, of course, I can't forget that I do work with veterans. So I've got a new promotion going right now where I've got a veteran group of the month. Um, on my website, you can buy a t-shirt where I donate $5 from every one of those t-shirt sales to the veteran group. So by you buying a T-shirt, you're not only helping Santa Claus, you're helping the veteran group. And you know, I know in Australia they have a very strong veteran group there, and people support them as well, as well as in Canada and the U.S. and the U.K. So it I'm stirring up some interest by doing some positive thinking. And that's where you and I both talked about this many times before, the power of networking, how we share our information to various groups around the world. But when you actively participate in networking groups, you start doing one on ones with different people and they give you ideas and suggestions because they think differently than you do. And who knows, maybe, I'm sure you ran into people giving you ideas and suggestions on how to improve your show. Well, they're doing that to me. And it started off with the stories and then the t shirts and then the coloring book. And then, of course, the cookbook. Am I going to do any more? Probably not for a little bit while, but, we'll get this up and running. We'll get it promoted around the world and we'll have a little bit of fun with it. But, you know, go into different networking groups with your mind wide open because you never know what tidbit you are going to be able to grasp onto.
So tell us a little bit more about the Veteran Affairs. So what sort of activities have we got for them?
Well, I've got a whole different website set up for them. It's called the Warriors Beacon of Hope, where, I started really wondering because people kept talking to me about veterans and veterans would give me ideas and I'm going, well, what does Santa Claus have to do with veterans? Well, Santa Claus is a very trusted persona. He's been around for a long time and people look up to him for maybe some ideas and some suggestions and conversation. And we all know how important the conversation is for our veterans to keep the conversation going. So I come up with an idea to create a website called the Warriors Beacon of Hope, where I'm putting together a list of services to help our veterans. It's not veteran owned businesses, it's services like yours where you could help veterans in their time of discomfort and need and whatever the case may be. But I the veterans kept telling me I'm on the waiting list. And I thought, it's can't be that bad. We have to do better. We have to step up to the plate and do better. And so I created this website where I'm developing so far the list and it's growing slowly. But then I also said, let's go searching for meetings. Well, you couldn't find any list of meetings because you have to be a member of the club or the group or the organization to know when they have a list of meetings. So I've got a list on there of meetings as well, and it's a growing trend. It's growing slowly. And then someone else said to me, "Well, you can't find scholarships for veteran children." And I went, "Are you kidding me?" So I ran into a lady that said, "Hey, Santa, I've got a list of scholarships for veterans because her husband is a retired veteran. And she was looking for scholarships for her son to go to school." Well, of course, she couldn't find any until someone spoke up in October and he started school in September. So I've got that list, and there's about 100, maybe 90 different scholarships on there. Um, so
Wow.
it's a I'm what I'm trending towards is a portal to help veterans for many different reasons.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Papa John. I and yeah, you've also there was something else that yeah, you were talking about the stories, your holiday stories. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I one of my big ones is I do a custom created story for families in the fact that I will include the children's names in the story that I'm reading. So not only do you get the wonderful memory of the children going, "Mommy, mommy, daddy, daddy, play it again. Santa said my name," but now you get the wonderful experience of the family joining in on the couch and on the chairs and watching it all at the same time. And we all know, unfortunately, that society is created a place that parents are busy. Parents need to work and parents are busy. And, they don't always get to spend as much time with their children as everybody else thinks that they should. So this one just came to me in the last couple days. What a great way to spend some family time where you're all gathered around on the couch watching the big screen, watching me read them a story, and I say their children's names. Well, it's a twofold win because the children are going to go, "Wow, Santa said my name. That's pretty cool." But you're going to get the parents going, "Hey, I got to spend some time with my children," and that's a very valuable situation that we need to promote more to families is a way to say it, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, because yeah, the system is set up. We talked about this too, Papa John. The system is set up so that yeah, families don't spend as much time. It's a lot harder for families to be together because they have to, especially the parents, they have to be working because you can't afford to be on one wage anymore.
No, no.
Especially if you've got a mortgage or uh, here in Australia, rent's gone through the roof. So even people that are renting, they're finding it difficult to pay the rent.
Yeah,
And yeah,
absolutely.
then they've got to rely on schools to look after their children, and of course the system loves that. They love that they need to rely on them, and then yeah, then that comes back to that education. And then if children are watching and seeing and are in that environment where they're not with their parents, then of course then they're going to do the same thing as well. So when they get older, it's the system just it's not over and over and over again. It's like a revolving door. So so that yeah, what you're saying is very important. Bringing parents back to their children and letting them have some, and like you said, it's just about enjoyment. And if they get an extra 5-10 minutes with them and they're having a laugh with Santa and Papa John, well, that's magic. And
Yeah,
that's yeah,
absolutely. you know
that's what that's what the name is all about. It's all about magic. So
yes, yeah. And children grow up so fast now. Well, they've always, and the reality of spending quality time with your children is just a bonus.
well, time goes much faster when you get older. Yeah, the older you get, the time just gets faster and faster.
Are you saying you're getting old?
I'm thinking that I'm halfway. I'm halfway there, Papa John.
Oh,
So
well, I'm only 1,754 this year.
I'm hoping to be that old, but yeah, it will, especially in the condition you're in, you're doing looking
Yeah,
pretty good, mate.
they say I'm in pretty good shape for my age.
Yeah, that's right. You're in fantastic shape.
But
So
you
I
know
hope.
what? Once you get over 40, I mean, it's a age is a number and it's a factor. And if you let this thing get to you, and
Yeah.
it'll start bringing you down. You know,
Yes.
my
Yeah. So that.
father's
Yeah.
93 and still going strong and still
Wow.
driving. So hopefully I've got a ways to go yet. So I'm having fun, and you know I'm not in the big truck anymore, where I spent many, many years and accumulated over 5 million kilometers in a big truck.
Wow.
And
So you drove most of the country,
I,
United States, or was that in
well,
Canada?
they kept me in a big circle in the five Midwest state area,
Oh yeah,
you
good,
know, and
good.
then up into Canada.
Yeah,
But
good.
yeah, yes, I'm not making as much money now as I was back then, but the bonus is I get to go upstairs and have a warm supper with my wife every day, and
Yeah,
I get to climb in my own bed. And, that's some serious brownie points right there. Because just like we said, we're not getting any younger, and we have to start taking advantage of, you know, time with loved ones.
yeah, exactly right. And yeah, so yeah, and like you said, you're sleeping in your own bed instead of a truck.
Yes.
My father was a truck driver too, and yeah, he had long stints away from home, and he used to tell me about how he had to sleep in the truck, and yeah, so I get it. He actually took me away a couple of times over the Christmas holidays
Oh, yeah.
when school was out, and yeah, that was it was it was different because you're not expecting, because it's an autonomous position.
Yes.
When you're a child, you're with other people and you're expecting to be with other people when you get into the workforce. But where his position was all autonomous,
Yep.
so you got to create your own entertainment.
That you do. That you do. And thank
Y-
thankfully I had a good cell phone and a good headset. I was able to communicate with some other buddies, and we would complain about the proverbial road, and how the other drivers were not giving us as much room as they should have been.
in those days they didn't have, there's no cell phones, so it was all UHF radio. So that was the
Yes,
only way
back
they
then, yeah, for your father, absolutely.
had. It was the only
CD
way.
radios were great, but they didn't have very much for distance.
No, that's right. So he's only in certain places, but you get to know people over time, and especially if you're doing the same routes all the time, you get to know the same drivers,
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely,
spe-
absolutely.
especially especially this pit stops. They all know the pit stops,
Oh
all the
yes,
best ones anyway.
yep,
And
and the ones to stay away from.
yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Well, then, yeah, yeah, and then you get to see the same people, and you see the same trucks, and you see and then you see a new driver in a new truck in a truck that another driver's doing, and you think, "Whoa, what's going on here? Are they sick? Are they okay?"
Yeah, yeah, no kidding, no kidding.
And then,
So
yeah, so I understand the lifestyle. I got a little taste of it.
yep, yep. And being a kid, you'd be excited because you're in a big truck, and
Yeah,
kids didn't get to see that excitement, and it prepared you for, well, I'm 18 now. I guess I'm going to go to school because I didn't like riding in that truck with dad. Probably helped make a decision for a year or two, but it is what it is, and it's
yeah,
probably not much different over here than from where you're from about jobs and what
yeah,
they consider schooling and trade schools and stuff like that. It's rather interesting on how the trend is starting to change now on pushing towards trade school here.
yeah. Yeah. So it's changing a lot here. The trades. I've got a dear friend. What they do now is they used to be, if you did a trade, didn't matter what it was. You go into they call it a TAFE. So it's like a mini college,
Okay.
and they would go there to do they call it a block. So you do like 3 to 4 weeks, and you go there and you learn about your trade, and you do that once a year. So for your 4 years, because it's a 4 year apprenticeship.
Right. Yep.
And what they do now is they got out of that system, and they found that it was too hard for the employers, because the employers complained. So what they do now is they're mobile. So uh, they go to the apprentices' work site, so they could be wherever doing whatever, and they go and assess them on the spot.
Okay.
But the problem with that is, like carpentry and cabinet making, especially the plumbing, not so much, but maybe on the bigger jobs, but the smaller businesses, um, especially carpentry and cabinet making, they have conveyor belt. You know, they have these lines, and you might be an apprentice that only does one section of that conveyor belt, so they can't assess them because they only do one section of that uh, line of production. So you see
Wow.
what I'm saying?
Interesting.
So you see what I mean? That's the way they've done it now. The bigger companies anyway. They have these production lines. It's just like the assembly of vehicles is a perfect
Right.
example.
Yep.
That you're only, if you're a mechanic, well, you might be only just putting heads on the engine. That's it. You might
Right.
be doing anything else at all.
Yep.
So
You don't know how to change that tire.
yeah, well, that's right. You got no idea. Well, how do I put the drivetrain in? Like, see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? They have no idea. So it's really hard. It's been very, very hard for him, especially because he's got to assess these kids, and they're limited to what they learn in their
Right.
apprenticeship.
Yep. No kidding. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. So I imagine it'd be the same over there. It would be no different. I,
Yeah.
I,
I know the grandson just did a year going to school of learning how to run some heavy equipment. So he went for a whole year, learned the basics of like three pieces of equipment, and said, "Okay, that'll get you through the door, and then the people can start teaching you, you know, so that they can teach you how to do the real aspects on a construction site."
wow. Wow. So
Yeah,
see what I'm saying? Yeah, it sounds very similar. It sounds very
yeah,
similar.
yeah,
The the,
absolutely,
the
absolutely.
limitations to the education system, especially with
Yeah,
trades, is well deteriorated only because of what the the bigger companies are setting up. So
and of course, it's very rarely that anybody teaches you how to open up a business.
yes,
Here's the basics of learning how to run a business. Hey, what about the kids even coming out of school and they don't even know what a checkbook is and don't know how to balance it, don't know how to balance a bank account? That's an interesting concept that has to be changed for our kids to succeed in the business world.
oh, definitely oh, look, my degree is a perfect example. Well, I think we did two subjects. One was business, the other one was just about workplace health and safety.
Oh yeah.
So that's about the rest. So that's two subjects out of it was like 40 subjects. Easy.
Oh, at least.
Yeah. That we did on business. So when you get out into the real world, it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Yeah,
So
no
that yeah,
kidding.
out of the five people that actually graduated with me at the time that I think over the whole year was about 12. There's some because I did it part time, so some people did it part time as well. We graduated halfway through, and out of the five people, there's only two of us that actually went out and started practicing.
Oh yeah,
So, and still practice. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Still practicing.
still
That was
practicing.
10 years ago, 11 years ago. So see what I'm saying?
Yeah, oh
So
yeah, yeah.
and
I mean, everybody thinks that running a business is, oh, I'll just do this because I can do this, this, and this, and oh wait, how do I pay my suppliers? How do I hire an employee? How do I pay an employee? And
yeah, that's
boy, those are if you don't have uh,
yeah.
someone to rely on to answer some questions, you could get into trouble real quickly.
Yeah, exactly right. And I always say with business, it's no different to an elite sports. If you're in a soccer team, you need a coach. Well, it's
Yeah,
no different if you're in a football team or whatever.
yeah,
golfers, even autonomous positions, boxers. They have their own coaches.
Oh
They
yeah,
have to.
absolutely.
There's no,
Yep.
it's no different. The business is no different. You need to have a coach to help you. So I've
Yep.
interviewed a lot of coaches on here, Senator Papa John,
Oh yeah.
because of that reason. Because there's a lot of people out there in business or wanting to get into business, and they need that help. Definitely.
Don't know how to take the first step.
Yeah, exactly right. And yeah, it took me a long time to learn about money and how that you can use money to your advantage.
Oh, you mean
And
you were spending it like water and couldn't figure out why there was none at the end of the 2 weeks left?
well, I learned that you don't use your own.
Ah, there you go. That's even a better idea.
Why use your own? You can use someone else's. So yeah,
Yeah.
you just and that's what the business is. Like a Ponzi scheme, I suppose you could call it that,
Well, yeah.
because you're borrowing off someone else and then you got to pay them back, but you're getting the money off someone else to pay them back.
Right. Yep. No kidding. No kidding.
So that's pretty much what you're doing.
Yeah.
So,
So,
tell us more about the show. How long has it been running for?
well, I
And
try and get on TikTok a couple nights a week. Of course, near Christmas time, I'll do 4 straight nights, about 2 hours a night. Usually about 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, or seven to 10 my time, because that'll encompass a lot of the time changes in the country and around the world. And you get on there and you just have some giggles and some laughter, and TikTok promotes you out as you're doing live, so it attracts all different kinds of people. I mean, I've got my regulars, which I truly appreciate, and some of the conversations can be absolutely brilliant. Because you never know the subject that's going to come up. What have noticed is I've got a lot of the kids on the spectrum coming to visit me, and my assumption to that is they're just looking for some attention. They want somebody to pay attention to them. So when I'm able to talk to some of these kids, and some of them are 30, 40, 50 years old,
yeah,
again, they've got some questions and I answer the best I can. And of course, the big
yep.
one is, where's Mrs. Claus? Where's the reindeer? Do you have any snow and how cold is it? So you got to you know tell them the reindeer's down by the barn sleeping, of course. And you got to feed the children the answers that they're looking for, because that keeps them in line.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. And I do remember when I was young, yeah, Santa Claus that was used a lot. It was if you keep being naughty, you're not going to get anything at Christmas. He
Oh,
knows.
and the one that I giggle about is, I've got some friends all over the country where, send me a new picture. Okay, so I send them a picture. I says, what are you using that for? Blackmail? What do you mean blackmail? Well, neighbors' kids are acting up, and I say, I pull up my phone and show them your picture, and say, hey, I've got Santa on speed dial. He's a good friend of mine, and if you don't start behaving a little bit better, I'm going to phone him and tell him to put you on the naughty list. Well, of course, I just giggle and laugh over this, but they say, no, it actually works. The kids start behaving a little bit better because I tell them I know Santa, and it's just, yeah, it's kind of funny, but it's there. The other people are using my notoriety for their gain. So where have we heard that before, right? You know,
It's all day, every day in our face.
Yeah, but I mean, parents will do that to their children, and it can be fun, and it can be, you got to giggle and laugh over it, because it can be very interesting. And the
Yeah,
stories I'm hearing from families and from parents is, very enjoyable and absolutely wonderful. And I spend a lot of time with. I've worked with now two photographers for 4 years for, taking pictures near Christmas time, and of course they get the same families year after year after year. So you see these kids starting to grow up, and they come back and they tell you stories, and it's brings a big smile to my face, because you're seeing these children. You might only see them once a year, but you hear stories and you recognize them and they recognize you, and that's that's a wonderful part of doing this job.
That's pretty cool. And so uh, what did you actually do? You know, like the Santas that you see in the shopping centers and stuff like that. Did you ever do that as well?
Um, no, I never did the malls, just because it was my personal decision. But I work with businesses and daycares. I do all the regular stuff, but that I'll go
But
to businesses, um,
hospitals,
because
I suppose.
yeah, and
Hospitals.
hospitals and stuff like that. Yeah, but the malls tend to want to take advantage of the Santas a little bit more. So
Yeah,
I would rather not play their game.
yeah. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
you know and when you get businesses, you're actually communicating and conversing with adults and management in the store, so they get to meet me and understand my personality, and I get to ask them questions about what they're looking for me to actually do with their customers in their store. So it's a better relationship, and that's a key factor to building up a business of this sort with stores and stuff, is you have to learn how to communicate with management and stuff.
Yeah, rapport. Build that rapport as well. And
Absolutely, very important.
yeah, I remember working in the hospitals at Christmas time. And Santa Claus had come through, and we had a kids hospital.
Yeah,
There was three wings to it, and it was pretty big.
yeah, it
And
sounds like a big store. Big, I mean, hospital.
yeah, it was the only one in Brisbane at the time. And there's a few now. There's a two or three now, but yeah, I remember seeing Santa come through, and the kids, you just see their face light up because they're scared because they're in a place that they don't want to be, and that
Absolutely, yep.
mum and
And
dad's not always.
they're fighting infections or diseases that they don't know the outcome is going to be. So when you walk through a hospital door like that, you're giving the kids potentially some hope and some memories of wonderful times, of better times, which we all, even as adults, can understand that concept.
Yeah,
You know?
it totally. Yeah, it was. He actually had the on Christmas Day itself. They used to have a barbecue, and Santa would stand there, and he'd be handing out rolls, and uh, and then he'd have his big sack. He'd have this huge sack, and then they'd have the child's name on there because they knew what they were going to get him,
Right?
and they'd they'd be like, "What? You knew my name? What's going on here?"
Oh
So
yeah, little things like that make a huge difference in setting up and the pre-planning, and the end results can be just amazing, because all of a sudden, like you say, Santa knows each of the kids' names, and that is
yeah.
it just lights their face up like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, and you see them, they go, some of them just cry, they just break down
Yeah,
because they're like, oh wow, he recognizes me, and yeah, that's a magical moment when you see that
it
child's face,
truly is. It truly is. And not only from the children's perspective, but from the nurses and the doctors, and they see how the child responds, and they
yeah,
can think, well, if he's willing to get excited about this, then maybe it's time we can tell him some good news or something about whatever the situation may be. And
yeah.
it'll brighten up, and it'll potentially, you know, help the prognosis be a little bit more positive.
Well, that's exactly right. It's difficult for children to be sick because they're so full of energy. They're balls of energy.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
when they
Absolutely. And when you take that energy away from a child,
yeah,
it's you might as well cut their legs off.
yeah, that's
You,
exactly right.
you know,
That's what's the old saying? You want to kill a man, you take his legs. But
yeah.
yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, they they just loved it. It was just like a yeah, magical time, and you could see that they wanted to get better. They wanted
Yeah,
to feel the enjoyment of
gives them a
running around.
spark.
Yeah, the feeling of enjoyment instead of, especially chemo. Chemo knocks them around so much. They get so sick.
Yeah,
They don't want to do anything.
no,
and
no,
then
it's really tough. It's really
you know
tough.
see them when they walk them out. In the wheelchair, and they get him outside, and it's a beautiful day, and they is because here in Brisbane it's hot, so
Yeah,
it's summertime at Christmas, so
yeah,
they come outside and they're just like, oh, sun. I forgot what that is, and then oh, Santa Claus, magic.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, it doesn't necessarily have to be at home. It can be at a mall. It can be at a store. It can be at a daycare. We want to give these children some a spark of excitement you know, to share some wonderful positive memories with. And, we need to do more of that sometimes for the children and, even for some of the young adults, and it's, it's not going out of your way to make arrangements. You're doing things to create a memory that people are going to potentially remember for a lifetime. And you run into the parents all the time. Well, I remember when I was growing up and I would do this with Santa and I'd see Santa at this bit. I hear those stories all the time, and it's it warms you up right in here, let me tell you, knowing that you're carrying on a tradition that they thoroughly love to tell as parents because it was an important part of their childhood.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll just bring up. Jeff Vale has actually said something. He said, "Love Santa John," so he must be a fan. He said,
There you
"Need
go.
need you both on our podcast. 15 minutes of fame." He's given the link there, so I'll give that to you too, Santa Papa John.
Okay.
So it looks like another podcast for the two of us, mate. So cracking.
There you go. Absolutely. Hey, it means somebody's watching. That's a good thing.
That's it. Um, and I was going to go on to the third question, but I mean, you've pretty much answered that. The third question is, who's your ideal client? But I mean, it's everyone, because
Yeah.
everyone knows who Santa Claus is. Well,
You know,
most people, I should say, most people.
most people do. But it's funny because even on TikTok, I will get the kids going, well, I'm Jewish. I don't celebrate Christmas. Okay. But do you giggle and laugh and smile? Well, yeah, of course I do. Well, then you can stay on here and have some giggles and laughter with us. So, you include everybody
Yeah,
because there's some reason that they can participate. It doesn't have to be black and white. Well, you're Jewish, you can't be here. Well, no, that's wrong. I network with a lot of people that are Jewish that give me stories of how they snuck around every now and then because their friends said, we're going to see Santa, come with us.
yeah,
And kids just want to participate. Kids just want to have memories. They want to giggle and laugh with the rest of their friends. And that doesn't change as it gets older only because someone sets the rules. Well, sometimes those rules are wrong. And we need to, you know, carefully look at some of these rules and say no. If it involves a laughter or sharing a positive memory or giggling and having fun, then some of those rules can be pushed to the side. And that's my opinion. But it's funny that um, I had another one going. Well, it's you know I don't celebrate, but I plant a tree. I thought that's a wonderful tradition that could be shared with a lot of different people that, maybe they don't believe because of whatever religion they're involved with. But you can plant a tree and look at how much it changes over the next 5 or 10 years and think how proud you are to change the skyline, to change the neighborhood because you planted a tree.
yeah. That's another thing. Yeah, just by helping nurture nature. It
Yeah,
can also it can be
yeah.
therapeutic in itself, knowing that you're helping nature to grow as well. So yeah, magic. So I suppose I'll go on to the last question. So tell us, Santa Papa John. I think I know what the answer is going to be anyway. what 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 ideas or information would you give us to create lifelong longevity, to be as old as you? In other words,
As long as old as I am, well, live healthy, participate, get exercise, and have lots of giggles and laughter in your lifetime.
I thought
You
of something.
know, I'm no doctor. I mean, that's your department, but I see a lot of
I
different people in a lot of different ages.
I
And the
prescribe
biggest,
it. Prescribe that, Santa Papa John. Definitely, I prescribe
yeah.
that. Definitely.
And you know, the people that enjoy themselves, that share laughter, and don't get too stressed out all the time, and enjoy some positivity and smileology in the world. You know, they live to be long and healthy, and it's you know, we sometimes we take life too seriously,
Yeah,
and we forget to smile and giggle and laugh. And it's amazing how a good laughter can change your feeling. Every now and then, you know, I'll be going, everybody goes in through their ups and downs and emotions and this, that, and everything else. But boy, you get onto a good conversation with someone and you start giggling and laughing and talking about some positive things, how much it can change your mindset is absolutely amazing. And, you know, you need to schedule some of your people that are going through some down and out times to, hey, get on the phone with someone and giggle and laugh and smile. It'll change your outlook in life.
definitely, totally. I totally agree with that. Yeah. So I thank you so much, Papa John. I've got smileology. Is that what you
There you
call it?
go.
Smileology.
We're creating new English words. Smileology, absolutely. You
Smileathon.
know,
I call it smileathon.
yeah. Well, smileathon. There's another one too. But you know what? Like I said earlier on when we first started, tell all your friends, the people that are listening, go share a smile with someone you don't know today, because
Yeah,
you never know what the backstory is. And if everybody shared a smile, boy, the world would be a better place in five days than it is from today for sure.
we appreciate your time, Santa Papa John, and yeah, I hope to get you back on the show at a later date. And it's been a pleasure, and I do have a smile on my face. And thank you so much for your time.
Well, this has been a wonderful conversation, and you know, I hope you were recording this.
Yeah. It's all live, so
It's
it's all
all
on my platforms. It's all on my
it's
platforms. It's on my
good.
YouTube,
So
LinkedIn,
then
and Facebook.
you'll make some shorts of it and put it online, and we'll be able
Yep,
to share it on our platform and show other people that we had a wonderful conversation and we were able to share some giggles and some laughter and talk about you know, maybe some traditions that, you know, people can think of maybe starting in their own family.
exactly right. So just to the audience, so there's Papa John's shop. There it is. There
Yep,
www.santapapajohn.
where I've got videos and happy birthday videos, cookbook with Santa's favorite 50 cookie recipes. I've got t-shirts, and I have coloring books based on some of my stories. And I've got some wall art with some critters that come and visit my backyard. So it's kind of fun that, you know, I'm inside city limits, but I have all these wonderful critters that come and visit. So I've taken some wonderful pictures that I'm able to share with some people and hopefully make some smiles on people's faces. But you know, it's not necessarily the big thing that wins the race. It's all those little steps that we take.
Beautiful. And also, if people want to uh, get the link to your TikTok, show that
It's all
they
Santa
go to the
Papa
website?
John. It's
Yep,
all Santa Papa John. Yep.
it's all on that website. Excellent.
Yep.
That's fantastic. All right.
Well,
So what's it? So I was just going to say, because you've been a great guest, Santa Papa John, I'm going to give you access to my health club. So there it is there, www.sixteensacupuncture.com.au /health club. And there's the access code. You just can put that free access in and check it out. It's worth $11 and you get access to it for 30 days. And I teach you about meditation, emotional freedom techniques, nutrition, exercise. There's 9 modules. So yeah, have some fun, brother.
there you go. Well, I appreciate your time. This was a wonderful conversation, and we dived deep into some areas that I didn't think we'd get into, but you never know how conversations like this are going to go.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, mate. It's a wonderful conversation to talk about yourself and the Santa Papa John, and we appreciate your time, mate. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me on, and look forward to having many more conversations with you.
All right, guys, you've been watching the Get Busy Living podcast with a wonderful Santa Papa John. You take care, and you have a great day.